Okay, great. Moving right along. So thank you, everyone. I think everyone in this room, probably more than any other room that exists right now, understands the importance of trying to understand the diverse types of work activities that are happening in research, as well as the diversity of things that are being produced in the context of research that extend far beyond the paper. And that is one of the many things that our working group is thinking about. How do we recognize those activities and outputs and better recognize them in terms of the scholarly process? So our working group really launched out of a workshop at last year's FORCE meeting in Oxford, Contribution and Attribution in the context of the Scholars workshop. During that workshop, there were over 500 outputs that were identified by you, the community, of things that you're doing that you would like to get recognition for. And that really, I think, jumpstarts the conversation about understanding the importance of context in this space. So our working group really has done the majority of the work in the context of events. So there was the FORCE 2015 meeting. And a few of us got together for a panel on measuring success at last year's Vivo conference in Austin. And then, of course, this year we've had some time to talk about these topics in the context of the workshop, one of the workshops on Sunday. We have a poster, which I encourage everyone to go and see and ask us, push us to think about the things that are important to you. And then many of you are familiar with the contribution ontology that is part of the Open Vivo project. So just to remind everyone, and I don't need to remind this audience, but just to remind everyone, when you open up the hood of scholarship, it's much more complicated and rich than what we might understand by the things that are very easy to count. And this is, a concept that we've heard over the last several days and especially emphasized today in Cassie's talk. And so we need to figure out a way to be able to recognize and properly celebrate these kinds of contributions. And we thought the best way to do this immediately was to think about this credit taxonomy and build upon it so that we can look beyond those outputs that are manuscripts and looking at trying to represent the diversity of contributions and scholarship. This ontology represents the entire scholarly process so far. It's the first iteration. We've also attempted to recognize the work that is represented in Figshare, and then, as I mentioned, this was loaded into the Open Vivo, and I encourage everyone to take a look at that and go and claim your works. There's a lot of really exciting work in this area that extends beyond our work group. One of the things that I think is most exciting are the alternative metrics working groups that are happening in the context of NISO. This work was generously funded by the Sloan Foundation, and we've gotten a chance to hear some of this work here at this conference, but I also had the pleasure of co-chairing one of these groups with Mike Taylor, where we're looking at persistent identifiers and alternative output types. We have identified some super classes of output types, and there are a number of things that are listed below those that will be published for public comment here shortly. I hope everyone, we welcome those comments and encourage you to do so. But it's not the only game in town. Everybody's thinking about trying to get a better handle on what's happening. And you'll see that there are a number of other things that are happening, and I look forward to more conversation in this area. So I want to take a minute to acknowledge the working group. We have leaders Karen, Stacy, and Melissa. Mary Jane and Matthew, Violetta, and Mike did a ton of work on the contribution ontology and getting that into that Open Vivo platform, and it couldn't have happened without them and the Open Vivo working group. So thank you.
All right, wonderful. Exactly.